So this is a video. Of course, it has to start in media res, so we have no idea what happened before it. We have a person riding around on a bicycle through a parking lot, maneuvering behind a police officer. At some point, the police officer gets out and points his gun at this person on a bike. The person on a bike says, "I'm just riding my bike," and rides off. The police officer gets back in his vehicle and proceeds to maneuver again towards the bicyclist. Well, you can kind of see it here, I guess. The police officer here has his gun pointed at the bicyclist. Of course, that bar is right in the way. What can we tell about this? Absolutely nothing. You can't tell a damn thing. Why was the guy on his bike? We don't know. Why was the police officer following him? We don't know. Do police officers normally follow people on bikes? No. No, they don't. Do bicyclists normally ride in circles around parking lots? No, they don't. Do police officers normally get out of their vehicles and point their guns at bicyclists randomly? I think we can all agree that that is not a normal occurrence. All we can conclude from this is that there are a lot of missing facts. To then call this bicyclist a journalist, let's look at Charlie Dog's channel. No recent activity. 4 videos. I guess you count him as a journalist, but I don't know if that's really. I don't know if that's really what he spends his time doing, but I guess, sure. But to suggest that the police shouldn't pull their guns on this young man, or that they do pull their guns on journalists generally, or they shouldn't pull their guns on this young man, is silly. And this officer is very on point. He takes on James's argument, and I use argument very loosely, and throws it right back at him. And James completely misses the logic. The thrust of James's argument is the same as the thrust of many of the people in my comments. They say this person was a police officer and this person did something bad. And everybody agrees that on that. Yes, that person was a police officer and that person did something bad. Absolutely. Awesome. We're on the same page. And then they go on and they create a logical fallacy by saying because this person was a police officer and did something bad, all police officers are bad. At which point most normal people step back and say, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And the same people who employ this kind of tactic or this kind of logic, when you point out that, auditors are creating distrust and dislike with the public, they say, oh, not all auditors are. Oh, yeah, well, we know. And not all cops are criminals. In fact, most cops are not. The ones who actually commit crimes are the exception. And it's not what you feel. That's the James Freeman approach. Well, I feel like it should be unlawful. Well, we have a legal system in place for a reason. And cops are caught for committing crimes. Cops are prosecuted for committing crimes. Cops are convicted for committing crimes. In fact, one of the videos that James puts in here is he puts a clip of a police officer who shot a guy in the back in the park, somewhere in here. Well, you can see that right there. 20. Maybe we could do somewhere in here. There you go. This police officer shot this guy in the back, and this police officer was convicted for it. So, yes, James, we know that this cop was bad, but because this cop did something bad, it doesn't mean all cops are bad. And this officer right here points that out. Some citizens have shot police. Some citizens have committed crimes. That doesn't mean all citizens are criminals, and that doesn't mean all citizens are cop killers. And it would be wrong, I think we could all agree, if the cops treated all citizens as criminals and if the cops treated all citizens as cop killers. In fact, that's one of my issues with the police, is that they have elevated their police safety to the point where they are creating unsafe situations for citizens. If a cop rolls up and assumes that everybody is a cop killer and is just jumpy and, just ready to pull the trigger first, I mean, I understand it. I'm not trying to go there. I understand it, but I'm just saying that to me, it's gotten a little past what we need. Cops already have bulletproof vests. They, don't be stupid about it, but don't just instantly expect everybody to be armed and dangerous and willing to shoot back. You don't roll up with your hand on your gun. Don't roll up with your gun out. Roll up and try to figure out what the situation is before you instantly reach for that firearm. That's all I'm saying. But this police officer does a very good job of throwing James's logic back at him and explaining how it's a short clip and you don't get the context from it. And he says all the right things and James ignores it. And I'm sure that people are going to watch this video from me and they're going to say, well, but cops are bad. And I'm going to be like, well, some cops have done bad things and some cops have done good things. And on any given day, a cop may do better or worse, and it's a sliding scale. And I'm not going to buy into your cops are bad, and I'm not going to buy into cops are good. I have people who subscribe to me who are very pro cop, and I'm not pro cop. I'm not anti cop. I am on a case by case basis. This cop is doing well right now. This cop did well in this situation. This cop was respectful in this situation. This cop was polite in this situation. Like the cop with Jack. He didn't do anything wrong as far as I'm concerned. And Jack yelled at him and was an asshat. And there are other situations where cops have rolled up and they've been just general douchebags. Like there's a Laura Shark with Tom Zebra video where they were trying to video in Las Vegas and the police were just general douchebags. And they were wrong there. And I'm fine with calling that out. And I know I'm, in air quotes, biased, but I'm not the one who is just judging these people straight off the bat. I'm looking at what they're doing and saying, well, we don't know, but this we do know. And this cop was polite. He was cordial. James was silly by trying to change policy by handing this guy a piece of paper, but whatever. But this cop was on point. James wanted to point out that, there are citizens killed by police and the police don't mourn them. Well, yeah. I hate to break this to James, but every year there are millions of people who die. Every year. And you don't mourn them, and I don't mourn them. But when a family member dies or a friend dies, I mourn them, and I remember them. And I'm sure that you do the same. Every day, hundreds, thousands, I'm not entirely sure, but a lot of people die every day. And we live our days without even thinking about it. But this cop is remembering one of his fallen comrades who was killed by a drunk driver, or if I remember correctly. I wasn't terribly paying attention to who this band was for, but he's remembering a friend, a coworker. And if you can't understand why he would remember a person that he knew and worked with, as opposed to a random person somewhere else that he had no interaction with, didn't know, if you can't understand the difference, then, well, I'm sorry. Maybe you should go back to asking minimum wage Walmart workers inane questions, because you're just being silly. So people were asking about my reaction on it. Honestly, I was delaying on it, and I was delaying on it for a reason. I wanted it to get as many views as possible. It seems like every time I point out James being James, that the video disappears. And I wanted people to be able to see this because James didn't realize how this painted him. But I think everybody else, not everybody else, hashtag not all. I think everybody who is even slightly unbiased against the police realizes that this officer was logical and rational and reasonable, and James wasn't. You hate auditors. No, I don't. I like James. But James is wrong, and James is using faulty logic. And this cop caught him on it. And this cop was reasonable and polite and professional. And that says everything it needs to say about this interaction. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.